we have to create the right vibe, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to another edition of a Purely Arsenal sit-down podcast. We are here to review a 1-0 win at Wolves. Fantastic away win with 10 men. Finally, we win with 10 men. Talk a little bit about the Champions League as well. Great win in midweek there that leaves us in a position where we should all but sealed a top 8, but you never know. But top 8, fingers crossed we're right there. And we've got to talk about the transfer window as well. I know Neil will be delighted with that. Neil Shah, how you doing, Neil?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, Jack. Good to be back on a podcast where, yes, we've done something quite special under Arteta. So looking forward to talking about it.
Yep. It's been a good week. James Johnstone, how you doing, James?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you. Yeah, you've given us a plenty of time to sit this. I think if you'd done this 10 or 15 minutes after the final whistle, you'd have a completely different podcast. I mean, we're probably still going to say a few things, me and Neil especially. But I've calmed down a lot more. Like I said to you, I had one of my family members ring me, and they were like, "Cool, you'd have thought we'd lost the way Yorks." And I went, "I'm raging." I said, I'm raging. I know we've won, but I'm raging. But I'm much calmer now for you and the listeners' benefit.
Yeah. At half time, we didn't have a lot of hope there, really. With knowing what we're like with 10 men, I think we have to start with the referee stuff. Let's get it out of the way because we can evaluate the game after it, and I don't want to spend all the time talking about referees and, of course, Michael Oliver again. Just to preface it. I'll go to both of you on it, but there is a lot of data out there on Michael Oliver, specifically with Arsenal, so we probably should mention that because there's a lot of, in fairness, from what I've seen, and you boys have seen more of it over there than I have, but from what I've seen, the one positive from this is finally, just unlike all our other unjust incidences that have happened this season, which look worse and worse by the week, by the way. We were kind of guided into thinking the Declan Rice one was a new rule at the time, and I think that made maybe our initial analysis like, okay, that's ridiculous, but should he have known better? I think as weeks have gone by with all of our other red cards, it's looked absolutely crazy the more it's gone on, to be honest. It's incredible how often you see those things now on a weekly basis that do not get punished. But specifically with this referee, there's data out there that says, Michael Oliver's given us more red cards than any other team. He's given us more yellow cards than any other team. This is in the same period. And he's also given more penalties to the opposition when playing us than any other team has had against any other opposition. And on top of that is in a time frame where we have been in the top 3 of the Fair Play League. So just if people are thinking, you're going through that Wenger phase of you just can't discipline your players. It's early Patrick Vieira time against Neil Ruddock. None of that. None. It's not there. It doesn't exist. We're really controlled team in terms of discipline. So when this incident happens, all of that's in our minds anyway, right? We've seen the Michael Oliver, what he's done at Wolves before with us, with Martinelli, and a double yellow you never see. We've seen what he failed to do against Manchester City at the Emirates with Kovacic, with multiple ankle breaking tackles where he said, I'm going to hold off there and not do anything. There's more that you boys can talk about. But Neil, in terms of this specific incident, what are your thoughts on it? Obviously, they're breaking away. It's a tactical foul. It's an intentional foul. But there's nothing more about it than give the guy a yellow card and get on with the game and forget all about it. You tell me the rest.
Oh, God. I think I'll let James be angry for once rather than me. I couldn't watch the game, so I was listening. And I'll tell you something. I was listening on the Arsenal app, and it's Adrian Clark, and I always forget the name of the other guy. But Adrian Clark normally is very pragmatic, and I suppose he has to be. He can't, because he's actually on the official website and using that media So he's got to kind of be careful. But he just didn't care. I've never seen him so angry and so kind of animated and passionate about how he felt about this referee. I mean, he was literally singling him out. And I was like, wow, is he going to get done for this? I was literally thinking, you're going to get done for this.
Wow.
Because he was fuming and he was just kept on going on about how this referee, and he didn't even want to talk about him afterwards. He wouldn't even mention his name. He was that angry about it. And I thought, God, how bad. This must be really bad. If Adrian Clark's incensed, and obviously I could hear what you guys were saying or see what you guys were saying on the chat. And I thought, here we go again. I was tweeting a few things, and Cornelius is a fan of, a big listener and a supporter of the channel. So thank you for that, Cornelius. He reminded me that, wasn't it? It's the same idiot that yellow carded Skelly when he hadn't even come off the subs bench when we played. Do you remember he got a yellow card? I don't know if it was the same ref.
Was that Oliver as well?
I don't know.
Yeah, when we played Man City away,
he was on the bench. Was he on the VAR? Was he? Or was he?
No. He was the ref because he sent Trossard. If you go back in the game, there's the bit where the guy kicks the ball away for Wolves, and he's going absolutely mental. And Trossard's just like, mate, I'm like, he sent me off. Trossard's literally going to him, but he sent me off for the same thing. So he said, accept your book. It made me laugh because Trossard was literally like,
we've seen this all before.
He's like, take your booking, mate, and get on with it. Because he said he sent me off. He sent me off. He was like, you've kicked the ball. Accept it. But yeah, nah.
But yeah, so he already yellow cards Skelly before he even came off the bench in that game. So it's just like one thing after another. The double yellow with Martinelli, the things that have happened with against Man City, and the leg breakers and nothing, because he didn't want to ruin the game or something. Remember, was it some rubbish that he came out with? I can't remember. He didn't want to ruin the game, but then he takes off Trossard just before half time because that's okay, because they're not wearing Man City badges, they're wearing cannons, and they play for Arsenal. He's an absolute fraud. He's the most unprofessional person that you could ever probably meet in his field, and I'm sorry, but this guy needs to be expelled. He should not either we as a club need to do something. He cannot be refereeing our games anymore, officiating our games in any capacity, whether that be on the field or in the box with VAR, because they're just as incompetent and biased, or on the sidelines, whatever. He just should be nowhere near an Arsenal game going forward. He's just biased, he's corrupt, and I'm sick of him. I'm sick of the whole thing, but he's the top of the tree, really. I mean, this particular incident, I mean, you guys will probably speak about it with a lot more eloquence than I will, but Skelly, there is no intent, there's no force, there's no speed in his action to try and deliberately hurt this player. It's just one of those tackles that you see all the time throughout every game, in every football match that you watch. And it's just caught him, and it's about 5,000 yards away from goal as well. So, that stupid one that Saliba got, it reminded me of that as well. I'm thinking, and I didn't know, because I'm listening on on this media, I didn't know exactly what it was for. And I thought, it's not one of those again where he's like miles away from the goal that's been given against us. Because after the Saliba one, we saw more of that with other teams, and nothing was. See, this is the annoying thing. I was talking to my mum about it because she was listening to me getting upset. And I said, I don't mind if they're doing it to us, but then they're doing it to the other teams as well for the same thing. But they're not. It's just us. It happens to us, and then you don't see it for any other teams. He's so far away, and you can even see. I mean, poor Skelly. This could have affected us. We'll talk about that. But the way we came back from that was incredible. We showed some proper resilience, which I haven't seen really before from an Arteta team. And let's just at least look at the positive there, where we've done really well to come back from that and actually get the win. So that's one good thing about what happened. But look at it from Skelly's point of view. He's just started. Everyone who knows anything about football can see that he's an amazing player. He's got a huge bags and insurmountable amounts of potential. And you know that he's going to do well. And all of a sudden, for this to happen over what I would consider a nothing at worst yellow card challenge, and now he's going to miss 3 very important games just when we were starting to come back a little bit. We've been ravaged with injuries. We've been ravaged with bad luck throughout the whole season with some of these awful decisions. But we've managed to pull ourselves together and start to, come back a little bit here. We're even scoring goals from open play, for God's sakes. And it's like, now he's not going to be part of that. And they have to do something. That card has to be rescinded because it's so blatant where every person, the people that hate Arsenal the most are even going on air saying that's the most ridiculous decision they've ever seen. Everyone that you'd think that would take this as a bit of ammunition to use against us, actually, surprisingly, is saying the opposite. It's saying it's a ridiculous decision. So whoever the forces may be, take note of that and rescind this blooming card because it's dreadful and it's the most disgusting thing that I've seen for a while with us. But we do get it all the time. And I'm telling you, there's an agenda against us. I'm not going to change my mind ever about it.
Oh, yeah, without doubt. I mean, that's the one thing that frustrates me. They've not gone that far yet to say that. The media's been like, terrible decision, but that's what it is. It's a bad decision. I went, you need to know the history here. But also, Neil makes a great point, James, because what's your thoughts on that? I think we have to appeal it. If anything, I don't necessarily believe we're going to get anything out of it because it's Arsenal, but it will double down on the narrative or the belief that we've got, the true belief that we've got that there is someone out to get us here a little bit. Ever since Mikel Arteta said what he said and won in court against Newcastle, the comments there, we've all known what's been going on since then, and there's precedent for this, isn't there? Bruno Fernandes made a worse foul in my opinion, but not a red card against James Maddison at Tottenham, and that got rescinded to just a yellow card for him. I think it was a double yellow, so he still missed one game. But for Lewis Skelly's example, if that got rescinded to a yellow card, he would miss no games because he didn't have a yellow card in the first place. And literally, it's really, really close to what Bruno Fernandes did. I mean, they're basically saying, studs up and all this. It's Bruno Fernandes is way higher up on the shin. So we have to appeal it. James, what's your thoughts on appealing it and everything else?
Okay, so to answer the first bit there, I think we should appeal it. And I'd like us to appeal it just for exactly the same reasons that you've both stated. However, Arteta after the game, didn't he? Said, well, that's a club decision.
Yeah.
That's something that the club will take hold of, not me. I think, I really hope we don't, but I think they will look at it and go, do you know what? Swallow the 3 games, because if we appeal it, we're not going to win, and then it becomes 5, don't it? When you lose an appeal, it becomes 5, I think, doesn't it? Or something. It
might be 4. No, you're looking at the Mohamed Kudus one that came. Don't
they add something on if you lose an appeal?
It can get worse. Yeah, it can get worse.
But, so I'm like, they'll probably just be like, swallow it. But the thing is, right, going into it, because this is how bad and angry I got. I was just like, I'm going to just have a quick little check online, and I had a look at Lewis Skelly's career pretty much. And other than he's got nearly under 10 bookings even at youth level, but he's never been sent off. If he, you take into account stuff where it's like, is he a dirty player? Is he? No, he's basically just started. So there's no precedent of him being, he's someone who leaves, I'm going to leave one on him. That for me is basically Man City, Liverpool, everyone else. They do that about 3 or 4 times a game. And they go, that was a clever foul. They never go, that's a disgusting foul. They go, that's a clever foul. If it was us, they'd be like, dark arts, that's disgusting. Why are Arsenal doing that type of thing? It's 44th minute. Everybody's like, it's a booking. So you book him and you go, cut that out, mate. Leave it 11 versus 11. The game goes on. But this guy, who they claim is the best referee that we have, well, if he's the best, then we are fucked in the nicest possible way. We are fucked because, and do you know what? The thing that makes me laugh the most is that the 3 others that are in that room, I'm like, you all haven't got the balls to challenge him because they're all too, like we've heard it from Mike Dean, where he was like, I didn't want to embarrass a friend. I'm like, they're all they're like a cartel, we've seen them, we're doing this. And there is no way that they can say that they don't have unconscious biases, because you've seen one of them off his head on cocaine say how much he hates one of the managers and call him, a see you next Tuesday and everything else in there. We've seen it. So after Arteta come out, like you said, against Newcastle and pretty much put them on blast, they've marked his card. So, I mean, the speed that he made it a red, I was like, because you wanted to do it. He was rapid.
He was VAR will back him as well.
Yeah. Well, no, they're too scared. They're too scared not to. And that's where when all this first come in, do you remember we did like a big podcast about it coming in with all of us. And I said, I'm worried about it because it should be people that they do not know. The people that do VAR should have no link.
Yeah,
It should be your specialist field is the technology. And that is so there's like VAR refs and then there's like the physical refs. And I'm like, you don't interact, because for me, everywhere else in the world gets this right but us. And yet you're telling me we're the best league. We can't be. We cannot be the best league when we've got the worst officiating.
No.
It is diabolical. And yeah, I know people will say to me, James, you're the first one that sits on here and goes, don't talk about the refs, don't moan about the refs when you weren't good enough yourselves. And there's part of that yesterday, but that was a humongous injustice. I mean, how I said about earlier, we won and I was raging. I feel that as a fan. So God knows what they felt as players. I mean, I can see at half-time pretty much team talk's done for you, where it's just like you win this game to put two fingers up to him because they've tried to, and the guy's got so much previous, like you said, and I won't bore people with going back into it. But the only thing I'm like, he's a fraud. He's a fraud, like you said. He's a cheat. And I know he didn't want to come out and say anything afterwards because he knows he's on thin ice, Arteta. But I'm like, I'd have put him on blast. This guy, I'd have put him on blast. I'd have put him on blast.
I think the result.
Yeah, but I'm like, he is a disgrace. And I'll say what I said to all of you in the WhatsApp group and everything else. In the fight game, whether that's, UFC, MMA and boxing, the fighters can go, I don't want that ref. I don't want that judge because they've done this, and this.
They must be Liverpool fans.
Yeah. Well, I think Arsenal have got to go. He's got to be banned. I mean, for me,
yeah.
He's taken money from the owners of Man City to ref games in that league and testimonials and charity and whatever. That's a conflict of interest. Any other line of
Arsenal shirt as well.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said there, I feel and Neil, you said it as well. I feel terrible for Lewis Skelly. He's a young lad that's come in, started playing in the first team, and he's got two of Arsenal's biggest games in ages, and he's got to sit watching it from behind. Do you know what I mean? He's got a semi-final. Okay, do I think we'll win that semi-final? No, but you never know what could happen on the day. But he can't be a part of that. And also next week, Man City, regardless of where they are and, they're slowly having a bit of turn, we need to win that game. That game's huge. It's
what a coincidence that it's those two clubs, James. That
exactly.
Yeah. What coincidence? There's the two clubs that pay the referees' wages. That
the club he supports and the club that pays him. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
but,
and what a coincidence that he was given this game just before those two, just like the Liverpool fan that was given the Bournemouth game on VAR, and was the one that changed the whole narrative in the recording, which everyone agreed to, and said, "Oh yeah." They all agree. But if you listen to the recording again, there's one person that thinks that's a red card, and then everyone goes along with it. And the only people that listened to that and heard it were the Arsenal fans. But everyone, the problem here is as well, like you say with that. I mean, Liverpool had a terrible decision go there against them last season in terms of an offside being onside, and that. I don't believe whoever was involved in that, in terms of ever was allowed to work on a Liverpool game again. And also, there's a Liverpool fan that worked our game that is not allowed to ref any Liverpool games because they know he's a Liverpool fan. He's not refed a Liverpool game for 5 years now, but he is allowed to ref all the rivals of Liverpool's games. It's just incredible. You know what I mean? So when I get other fans and I get Liverpool fans going, no one's had it as bad as us. We had it last season. I went, if you're a northern club, you can't be in this conversation. Period. You can't be in it. All of these referees were born 50 miles or less from your house. We all know what it's like growing up in England. Law of averages state you're going to support the biggest club that's local to you. Generally speaking, that's what happens. There's only 3 big clubs around there. Let's be honest now. And City were only one for the last 10 years. So, let's be honest about location. This is a real issue. But he puts himself into a box. That's the one good thing that comes out of this. But Andre in the first half should go as well, because Andre gets a booking for being for reacting poorly to a decision. He gets booked, and then he makes another foul on Declan Rice like a minute or two later. There's also another one in the 77th minute. I don't know who it's from, but it's like this is after their red card stamp. But what is so ironic is that the João Gomez second yellow is a straight red card all day long, and he is going to be banned now for 1 game because this referee gave a second yellow. And I mean, even their manager was so annoyed with João Gomez because he probably knew it was a straight red as well. How stupid was it? João Gomez was annoyed with himself because he knew but no, second yellow for him. So even in this own game, even Michael Oliver in this specific game cannot be consistent with any ruling whatsoever. I think it's one of the worst decisions you'll see. What I hope doesn't happen, but I think it will. I think when you see these referee shows in the next few days, I think they'll try to justify it. They'll say, oh, was Lewis Skelly's stud showing? What point of contact did it start at? Isn't that a little... And all of this sort of stuff. It's a nonsense. We all know those shows are puff pieces for the referees anyway. It's complete nonsense, and we're very aware of how quiet Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville are being at this point in time on this.
It's funny you say that, Jack. Funny enough, I saw the clips of Soccer Saturday, which is nowhere near what it used to be. It's terrible. I don't even know if people barely watch it anymore. And Mike Dean is on there, and he's he's got like his own little corner at the edge of the set where he's like, oh, I'm the VAR, and he checks it. And he started, initially he was like, no. And he's like, this will be, and then as he's talking, he's like, oh, this is what they've said. And I agree with it. And all the players were like, shut up.
Yeah.
They literally were like, shut up. And like Neil said, the people who are the first ones to kick Arsenal when they're down normally, like your Chris Suttons, they're even going, that is bollocks.
Jamie O'Hara.
So, Neville and Carragher, obviously they haven't tweeted or anything, but I believe that they'll come out and they'll say that it's not. They won't back VAR. I don't think them to. I think they'll look at it from everyone else's perspective as well and be like, that is an absolute joke.
Yeah,
and that's rare for Sky because Sky obviously are paid to have that programme on. But the majority of them were like, shut up, Mike. Like, literally, shut up. I saw
it. He was tying himself in complete knots, wasn't he? He went, it's not one. Oh, they'll win the appeal. Oh, you can see why he's giving it. Within 60 seconds, I was like, you're just a disgraceful human being. Like, you shouldn't.
I mean, the game wasn't on telly over here. So, people find ways of watching it. And I had the same feed Bukayo Saka was using. Yeah, he let me have the link.
Good man.
No, and at first, Lee Hendry was on commentary with some woman. I feel bad that I don't know the woman's name, so apologies. And both of them were just like, yeah, this is a joke. And then all of a sudden, they were relaying what the VAR audio was, which again I get because it's like you're trying to help the audience to paint the picture. We're not privy to this, you are, so you're trying. And it was just like, you've been told. It just clearly was just like, you've got someone telling you, get this stuff out because it will help. It will help it seem justifiable. And it was just like, you're both waffling. I was like, you're both waffling. And it just goes back to what I said a minute ago about the three others that are in that VAR room, just not having the balls to be like, you need to go to the screen there, mate, because this is a howler from you.
That is really the disgraceful part.
None of these commentators are like, I don't want to listen to this shit. They're like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Yeah. I mean, let's draw a line under it. In terms of a footballing thing, Neil, when you go down to 10 men at Arsenal, specifically this season, there is a dread that goes through Arsenal fans' minds because we've lost a lot of points through going down to 10 men, and we've lost a lot of points from having suspensions from going down to 10 men and then following games. That's what people don't look at. We lost Saliba for Liverpool at home. We lost Declan Rice for the North London derby, but got through it somehow. And we're now losing Lewis Skelly, which you can say what you like about him. He's our starting left back right now. And rightly. I mean, he's been that fantastic. I thought he was great in the first 30 minutes here. One lovely ball that he played through for one of our chances that Trossard created. But in terms of the game, Neil, I mean, we had a few. Obviously, our captain was out, and he's been a little off form recently, but he scored in midweek. I felt maybe we're getting something back from him a little bit in terms of output. He was out with sickness. Marino out with another knock for a dual monster. He'll pick up a lot of stuff, this boy. I tell you, I didn't see any of this at Sociedad. So just another injuries again. What was the positive was Saliba was back. Thought he was fantastic. Declan Rice, well, fantastic. But in the first half, before 10 men, Neil, we were a better team. We didn't create a ton, but the ones we did create felt like it was all down to Havertz. Oh, do you feel Havertz? I mean, I really like Kai Havertz, and I think he's exhausted. I always watch him though, thinking you should be better in the air, son. You know what I mean? You're 6'4". You can win a lot of headers, but sometimes I feel like he's quite wayward with his heading conversion rate, and there's definitely at least one of these that he should be putting away.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can't argue against that. I think the problem is he's one of our tallest, if not tallest players. So he's got the presence, the height advantage anyway. And you look, I'm a bit torn about this because I really like Havertz, as you do, as you just said. I thought I'm still going and say that he was one of our best players in 2024, the calendar year. But yeah, there's got to be something to be said about his heading. As a professional, some of those chances are not always easy. There's the way the ball comes at you. You could have defenders all around you. It's not always easy. But where a cross has been handed on a plate, literally, and just props to Trossard, because I've really have been throwing the knives in at him lately. And I think in the last 2-3 games, he's starting to be the player that I remember again, how he was when he first signed. I think all 3 of the crosses were from him that Havertz couldn't convert. They were exceptional. Trossard's been doing really well, actually, in the last few games. Yeah. He's been playing very well down that left-hand side. And the crosses he's been putting in, I mean, it's led to assists for goals and whatnot. I think he's been tremendous. I just wanted to give a props to Trossard. But I think you really should be getting, even if you don't get all of them, you've got to have a bit of a high percentage where at least make the goalkeeper work. Yes, he did make the goalkeeper work on one occasion, but if you look at that chance, he had half a net where he should have really positioned headed the ball into. Half the net was empty. The goalkeeper was only covering the half that he actually chose to head it towards. And yeah, it looked like a good save. But to be fair, I think Havertz made it look easier than it was, if that makes sense.
Almost.
But then the others where he's literally put it wide, and you think, but the cross has been handed to you perfectly. There's no one around you in the sense that you're taller, you've reached the ball before anyone else. No one's actually impeding you as you're heading the ball. And I just think he's got to do a bit better now. There could be an argument, you're right, Jack, that he's feeling a bit fatigued and whatnot. But, even if that's the case, when you're heading the ball, I think you've got to do better. You, at the very minimum, have got to make the goalkeeper work. Now, in this particular game, it didn't matter at the end because we got the win. All this talk may be a little bit academic, but it is a bit of a worry. We are short anyway with our forward lineup. We all know it.
Massively.
Forget even the injuries. Even before all the injuries, I would say that we still needed a striker. We all were. We were all having that debate. We were talking about maybe, well, we're scoring loads of goals from all other places and all other areas. How can you say, that we haven't done well? We've scored loads of goals in the last 2 seasons. Do we really need a striker? Yes, that debate was there. But to be honest, I still think we needed a central striker or a forward striker or something like that where the defence is set up to deliberately frustrate us and not let us through, where someone else could come on and maybe just unlock it in a different way. That game changer that we talk about, someone like that. And that was before the injuries. Now we've got all these injuries. We're ravaged. So if you're getting chances literally put on a plate for you, I think you've got to do a little bit better. Now, I don't want to sit there destroying Havertz because I think he's a great player. Maybe there's fatigue, as you said, Jack. But we say it as it is. And I think his performance was poor yesterday in respect of converting chances. It really was. And I think something needs to be addressed in that way. But thank God it didn't mean anything academically in the end. And he's got to be disappointed himself. I think he's a player that will take that on the chin. But something's got to change with him. Just, I don't know, practice it. Just get it on target. Make the people work.
Yeah, I mean, he did it midweek. He scored, but it was almost unmissable. It was a great ball by Martinelli. And in fairness to Martinelli, whilst I don't think he's really great out on the right wing, his delivery has been a lot better in recent games. It really has. He's been putting in good balls from the right or the left wing. Even in this game, the goal really came from him. But I mean, James Havertz needs help. I mean, he really does. We can moan about his chance at conversion, just like Neil me were saying, and I think there's a fair point there. But my worry is, I mean, at the end of the game, you're getting 2 physios carrying the guy off here, and we've all seen what's happened with Bukayo Saka, and we know how important Kai Havertz is to Mikel Arteta. He's such an important player to him. Well, this isn't protecting him. We are hanging this guy out to dry. I mean, we literally are. I'm watching him deplete, game by game here, because you can't. I mean, we took him off for 15 minutes because we were 3-0 up against Zagreb. That's the first time we've done that in months. But there's really no one to take him off for if Trossard isn't on the bench. You just have to keep him on for 90 minutes. I mean, we have to address this in the market, and I don't even care. Of course I care about the quality, but I don't really at this point care if it's long-term, short-term, age. It has to be. We have to get in someone that can fill that central void. Right wing, sure too, but he is my biggest worry at the moment, because he is still our most productive output other than Bukayo Saka over the last sort of 6 to 9 months, and we have to keep that going, and we're not going to keep it going if we play him 90 minutes every game. I mean, he's going to fall off, James.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I will say, regardless of him not being clinical enough, which we knew even when he was in his stride, like you said, Neil, we knew that it wouldn't sustain, because he's just not got any history of being a clinical out-and-out goal scorer. But the more and more you play him like we have, and that's the thing, he doesn't hide. Like, he might not score a goal, whatever you, but he works his arse off, which, again, I know, but he's a centre forward, James. We shouldn't be caring about how hard he works. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but he does work. He is a pressing machine. He is relentless in that press. And that is why you saw at the end of the game he was so knackered and everything as well. And it's clear that he cannot sustain being that striker all time on his own. So you need to get somebody that, I mean, if there's someone else in there that's giving them a push, it will make him a better player. I'm telling you now, he will be more clinical if he knows that there's someone that could take his place. You create a competition from within, and the players will change. They'll get better. And yeah, he just, for me, he's spent. He's spent. Yeah. But the three chances that he had yesterday, the 3 big ones that obviously everyone keeps coming back to, were all for me sitters. All for me sitters, and especially the 2 that were in the air, because like you said, for a 6'4" man, that's your bread and butter. you got to be swallowing chances like that.
Yeah.
Because, and again, I'm not amazingly privy. I mean, look at look at our summer transfer window. I think we got every single one of them wrong, didn't we? So,
They should have followed our lead.
Exactly. But you cannot tell me that there isn't anyone in the terms of the central striking market that is within budget that cannot finish one of those 3 chances. I mean, me and Mike go on about Gyökeres all the time. And we put it in the chat. I said, Gyökeres has a hat-trick. That's the difference. He scores all 3. He scores both the headers and he scores the one-on-one. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And I'm not trying to sit here and say Kai Havertz is rubbish, get rid of him, like a lot of other people have. Kai Havertz is still a valuable player. But he can't do it all by himself. You know, Bukayo Saka is the only one where sometimes I've sat there and went, you know what, you might be able to do it by yourself. You're that good. You might be able to do it by yourself. But certainly if he can't do it by himself, then definitely Kai Havertz can't.
Yeah.
Definitely. And, you know, collectively, Jack, taking Saka out of it, away-wise, in terms of goals, Martinelli, Havertz, Trossard, and Jesus. This is just in the league. I believe have got 10 goals away all season. Partey, Calafiori, Saliba, and Gabriel have 7. So our defence is only 3 goals behind, being more ruthless than our strikers are in away games.
Yeah.
So that is also another reason. Strengthen your attack, Mikel, with either a high output winger or a centre forward, because your defenders again are bailing you out in away games.
Yeah, and at half time he makes a really interesting change, Neil, because we're down to 10 men. They've got 11 men. Ranieri didn't have the ability to really affect this game. It's another game where we've seen Ranieri in the Odegaard role, and we can tell that it's a little bit more difficult for him at the moment in the Odegaard role, because Odegaard has such a big responsibility in terms of being our technical leader and guiding the press. It's a harder role for him to fulfil. And I was actually hoping before we went down to 10 men that we were going to shift everything around a little bit and get Ranieri to the right wing, and maybe even drop Trossard in there, because I was like, I think we basically need to get Ranieri out to the right wing, and we obviously couldn't do that, and he made a sub, and it ended up being, let's be honest, a brilliant sub from the manager, because when you make a defensive sub and the defensive sub scores the winner, that's a brilliant sub from the manager. I mean, you can't look at it any other way, really. So it's a brilliant sub. I think we're beyond the stage. Remember last time we sort of subbed Ranieri off early a few games weeks back, and we were worried about it affecting him. I think we're beyond that stage now. Ranieri already knows he's a really big part of the squad, really big part of the team. He's getting essential minutes now. I think he is our best right wing option. He couldn't play it today for injury reasons, and I think he'll go back there. So I've got no concerns there. But Neil, I was the most impressed by us in that early part of the second half, to be honest. That was my favourite part of the game. I felt we took the game to them. We took the onus on them. Yes, they had a few chances before we scored, mainly through Cunha, to be honest, who I'd like to get your thoughts on. But I was impressed by it, because we've had issues playing with 10 men, not just not getting the results with 10 men. It's been creating and playing. We all remember the ones at Bournemouth and that period with Brighton when we went down to 10 men and we didn't really know what to do. It looked like we'd thought about it a lot, and we were like, this is going to happen again. We need to be more prepared. And I was quite impressed with that period, Neil. I don't know about you.
Tremendously. So again, I could only go with what I was listening to, not seeing. But I like the fact that where in the past, under Arteta, we seem to just shut down when we lose a player. It's literally just a shutdown. We just don't know how to reorganise and how to shape, and almost we lose our heads. I remember saying it was very much like we're so finely tuned, we just lose one part of the mechanism and it's a game over. This was very, very different. We lost one part and it almost fueled us to actually regroup and almost do it for the player. That's how I saw it. Do you know what? I wouldn't have been surprised if the lads at half time were hugging Skelly or putting their arm around and said, you know what, we've got this. I know you must be awfully disappointed with what's happened. It's not your fault. We got this. We're gonna make sure that this injustice has a happy ending. And they came out, and it's like, I thought we were playing better. From the highlights from what I saw and what I was hearing, it's almost as if even the attacks, we were always having two players in the box ready, and we were just pressing a lot better. The passing, we were faster. I think we had the higher possession. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just felt that we were just going for it, and almost like we were angry because we were angry and we were ruthless, and we thought in no way. Again, we're going to let this slip, and we're not going to just drop another a couple of points or even 3 points. It was really refreshing to see how much of that was down to Arteta, whether it was a little bit or he had a lot to do with it. I applaud him because, something has definitely changed at half-time. That half-time talk must have been quite inspiring. I'd love to have the Amazon or another Prime do the documentary on this particular game. I'd love to have heard what he was saying, because he must have done or said something to inspire these 10 lads to go out there and put on a show. And that's exactly what they did. And I thought we played some of our best football from what I saw for quite a while, if not for the whole season, to be fair, because we were just so well organised and we had the shape. And I think if that idiot was trying to disable us again, it's backfired on him. He's thinking, God, I shouldn't have sent him off. They're playing better. They were playing even better. So good. Justice was done and it was carried out. And I don't know if you're going to ask me to talk about that goal, but I mean, I thought that was inspired. I thought that was a very clever piece of vision from Calafiori, actually. I mean, he latched onto it, and it's almost as if he was waiting for something to happen. But that finish on the half volley, I'll let James talk about it. But that was just a great, great finish. I'm so happy for him because I think he's had some lapses defensively. And I think hopefully if he can score a couple of goals, it's a shame Odegaard was ill, because it was so important for both him and Kai actually to score in midweek. And I think it would have been the perfect tonic for Odegaard to be in this game. Fortunately, as you said, quite rightly, maybe Ethan's not quite there yet for that position. He's probably going to be better suited on the right. So it's a bit of a shame. But the way we just managed to succumb all the challenges in the second half was amazing. But I was really pleased for Rico too. Really pleased.
His comments, James, were really interesting post-game. It kind of highlights what Neil says. They said, well, tell me about the goal. And he said, that's just, what I do. So, he said, this is my job. He went, those are the type of goals I score. Quite confident. He said, my issue is the smaller stuff, and that might be a bit what Neil speaks about, sometimes switching off defence. I do think we've looked way more defensively secure down the left side with Lewis Skelly. And that's something that no left back under Arteta, bar maybe Tomiyasu, has really solved for us. So that is where Calafiori needs to work on. But it was great to see him back and fit and playing. It was a positive to Lewis Skelly's red card, because he possibly wouldn't have come on now. And we really need him. And if he can keep turning up with goals like this, but he does seem to score well. But like Neil said, it's a fantastic half volley because he has to control that, keep it down. It's a brilliant goal, James, and I went mental when that went in. I really did.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. People know what I've said about Calafiori all season, so I won't get too far into it. People think I deliberately dig the guy out. It's not. I call it as I see it. He's not a good defender right now at the moment. But I thought when he come on, one of his best games, and then to score as well, he capped it off. I thought he was brilliant. Next to the sub appearance against Crystal Palace in the league, when he come on and got that assist for Rice.
Yeah,
I thought he was brilliant at Palace, and I thought again here, he was brilliant yesterday. And I don't care that we've got a left back that's scoring a special goal, because like I said earlier, when the attack's not doing it, especially away from home, you got to get a goal from somewhere. And he's one of the few that will have a pop. There's so many times where we're watching where we're like, oh, come on, just shoot. Don't do it. We just don't do it enough. This guy's just like, screw it, I'm having a go, see what happens. And I mean, the one against Man City is arguably our goal of the season so far in terms of pure, strikes and everything. And this one's another one added to his collection. If he's going to just keep banging in worldies every now and then, I'm all for it. Like you said, I'm all for it. So, but yeah, no, he was really, really good. Really good goal. And yeah, like Neil, just tagging along to what Neil was saying there, we definitely were angry, but we channeled it, which again, going back to what you both said earlier as well, that I like, because a lot of the character of this side has been questioned this season, rightfully so. And that showed real character for me yesterday. I thought that they were all, really channeling their anger and their feelings towards all the, Michael Oliver, the Reds, whoever, and they're still keeping it as much of a race as it can be. For me, I'm like, if Liverpool are going to win it, make them win it. Let's not give it away. As long as we can all go, well, we had a real stab at that, then that's all you want. That's all you want. As much as we really, really want to win it, at least make the other teams work to win it. Let's not, have even more of a gap appear and everything else. And it was a really, really good goal at a really, really key moment. And like you said, the rest of the players, David Raya in that second half really stepped up again, bailed us out twice, didn't he, with some 2 big saves. I thought Gabriel, he was my man of the match, Jack. I thought he was superb.
Got the armband, terrific, yeah.
Had the armband on, obviously, with Odegaard being out, and I thought he took that mantle on, was like, yep, I'll have that. Give that to me. Done that superbly. I thought Rice, from a defensive and an attacking standpoint, was superb yesterday, because there were times yesterday in that second half where basically him and Partey, it was like old school Arsenal double pivot. They were both sort of in the six. But yeah, as soon as he got that ball, just transition, carry, bang, I'll get you up the other end, don't worry. Just superb. He's looking really like Declan Rice of last season now, which is huge. We need that big time, because even by his own, midweek, his interview that he gave, he's like, I haven't been good at all. He's like, this season, I haven't been nowhere near my level. And he's like, I'm getting out. He's like, I'm working harder to score these headers. He went, I'm fuming that I missed that header. Yeah, he was steaming. He was steaming. So that's the sort of things that I want to see. I'm like, keep doing what you're doing. But no, I'll stop waffling and let you carry on. But big goal. Big time. Big goal.
You're right on David Raya. I mean, they had chances. Cunha had a deflected shot that was really well saved by Raya. Aït-Nouri got in over a long ball, and it was a fantastic. I don't know what we were doing defensively for that moment, by the way. But it was a fantastic save by Raya again, and his ability on the ball and things like that. I thought Raya was fantastic as well.
Was the Aït-Nouri one when he slid? Yeah, because there was one where he did like this. Because I was like, that's where I love him. Because I'm like, if you mess that up, you're sent. That's a penalty, and you're getting sent off as well.
That might have been Aït-Nouri as well, but it was a different incident. I remember, because he kind of was cheering it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But there was the Aït-Nouri one that went over the top, where he was just 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he had a shot into basically the roof of the net, and Raya saved it. But obviously they had a couple of moments. Cunha had one from a cross or a corner that just went wide as well. Where I thought it was in, to be honest. And you felt the writing was on the wall there a little bit, with Cunha playing and all this rumours stuff going on. When I'm watching that game, obviously they go down to 10 men as well, but our lack of ability to be able to change it is just incredible to me. There is players on the bench as well, Sterling on the bench, but he doesn't have faith in a game like this. There's no faith. He brings Kieran Tierney on, who I thought did tremendously well again from a left wing position. And I'm not, as you know, I'm not the biggest Kieran Tierney fan, but what he has, and what I've never doubted on him, is he's got great character and drive and energy and enthusiasm, despite the fact he's been sort of, he knows his Arsenal days are numbered, put in a couple of lovely crosses, and just his overall intensity gave us an energy lift. I felt we were dropping in intensity, we needed an energy lift, but it's also another sign of, come on, look how depleted, and we shouldn't be bringing on Kieran Tierney at left wing, left back maybe, but we shouldn't be bringing him on left wing, you know. So that's where the frustration is. But they didn't really, after we scored. I mean, they had the Aït-Nouri one, but really we were actually pretty comfortable post goal there. You know, we were pretty comfortable. I think it was about 1.2 XG on our end to about 0.6, and I think a lot of theirs was created when we were down to a 10 and they had 11 men, to be honest. And obviously Wolves are, you know, they've been struggling all season. It's a game we should win, but in terms of what we had to deal with, I think that's a really, it's a really good sign, because it felt like a lot was against us. You know, saw Declan Rice's post, you know, about against the odds a little bit, and I do feel like a lot of things were stacked against us in terms of player depletion and then the red card and things like that. Yeah, but a great win. You know, obviously Liverpool, you know, smashing everyone at the moment, and you know they're winning. But I mean, they were going to beat Ipswich at home, so I guess we got to do our own job. You know, we got really tough games to come. What was your thoughts on Cunha, Neil? I know you don't follow the transfer rumour mill too much, and I still think there's probably a pretty high chance that he doesn't go anywhere this window, but obviously he's been linked away. A player that you liked. One thing I would say is, if anything was going to come through them, it was going to come through Cunha. I mean, he was the one that was taking all the shots. He was the one that was getting all the chances, you know.
I mean, I don't know what his price tag is. Is it 70 million? Is that what you guys were saying? I think.
Yeah, well, about 70.
That's a lot. But then again, yeah, you'd be expected to pay these kind of stupid prices these days. Again, look, I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I didn't really get to see the game in full, but the bits that I saw in the highlights, I don't know whether he was deliberately missing because he wants to join Arsenal and thinking, if I do this, they're definitely out of the title race, but if I don't, if I miss them and I join, I could be winning a Premiership title. So it's a bit hard. It's a bit of a hard one to judge. You don't know. He could be actually on his way.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
I think what you've said it a few times, Jack, in the last, I don't know, God knows how many pods we've done over this lack of striker, but anyone at the moment, yeah, we might not be getting or attracting. It might be too late to get the player that we want. You know, the January signings always tend to be a little bit weaker than the summer ones, because in January, if a striker is doing well at a certain club, do they really want to be leaving mid-season and, you know, maybe losing a chance of achieving something at whichever club they're at? Depending on what their status is there. It's always harder to get that player in. It's hard to get a good, decent January signing. But you were saying anyone that might add something, a different option to what we already have. You know, you mentioned it 3-4 minutes ago. Who is he going to bring on? He doesn't trust anyone on that bench. You know, he's just not going to do that. He's not going to make the change. Whereas if you have someone where they could actively change a game or knowingly can add something different, which would give us an opportunity, that's something we don't really have. And if we can get that player in, and if that looks like this chap, then yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know enough about him, so James can take over again and answer it. But 70 million is a lot of money for a person that, are you 100% sure about? I don't know. I've heard, I mean, from what I know of him, he's a lively and strong and competent player, I guess. But is he going to be the answer that we're looking for? But then again, I guess you can say that about anyone. You know, we could be throwing out really top names out, but are they going to be able to adjust the Premiership? Are they going to be able to do what you expect of them here? So there's always a bit of a question mark in any player, to be fair. So I think, without name dropping, we just need someone. I don't know who or what that looks like. We just need someone. The only thing I will say, and my argument is, I'm hoping it's just not going to be like I said, I think on another pod or your pod, I can't remember, Jack. We just don't want panic buys. I know that might be the wrong word, and I don't think we would do that. We're not that stupid, but how much time is left? We're at the end of January, so something's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, the window actually closes February 3rd, which is not. I thought it was January 31st. It doesn't. I think it closes February 3rd. James can correct me if I'm wrong. So I think there's even more than a week left. James, Cunha thoughts, transfer window thoughts. We're a week away now. We got to show our hand at some point, if there is one.
Yeah, if that was his audition, I wouldn't be buying him based off that.
No.
And I like the player. You know, it's pretty well known, my thoughts on the guy. And the reason being, bit like that one chance that he got from that corner next to Mbuemo, who everybody knows that's my guy. In the league, he's got the second highest goals from the lowest XG. Mm-hmm. So Cunha we need somebody that, like that situation where at a corner or anything, it ricochets up and it comes down in the air and he just bang, doesn't take a touch, doesn't think, doesn't pass sideways. He just, I'm the maverick. I'm going to have the shot and see what happened, and yeah, it was close, nearly did go in, but there was other instances there of him and his overall play that I was just like, I don't think Mikel Arteta is going to like you. Two in the first half where he tried to feed Chang up front obviously, and he was bollocking him.
Yeah,
fighting with your own players. Arteta's not going to have that. Not going to have that. A bit like, I know that he obviously wants to leave and he is arguably their best player, but I'm like, you're not doing stuff for the collective. You're very, very individualistic. There was times there where a pass was on, but he's just keeping it for himself a bit too much. A bit like we were critiquing Trossard for at the start of the season, where it was just like, you look like you're playing for yourself here, mate. You're not playing for the team. And he definitely has improved the last few weeks, Trossard, definitely. But yeah, I'm like, I don't think we are to chuck that kind of money down. And he's got that attitude now at Wolves. When you come to Arsenal, you know that he's not going to be first choice. He's not going to start. Maybe he'll start some games, but he's not going to start all the time. And I'm like, if you're throwing your toys out the pram at Wolves, where you are starting and you are basically their star, I don't think he's going to, how long is he going to be at Arsenal before he starts playing up? Because he ain't going to be first choice at Arsenal.
I don't think we do big money this window. I thought at the start we had to. I think, but we seem so.
I'm naive, Jack. I think we are. I just don't. I think
we'll spend. I think because we have to, but I think we might be looking at that sort of Trossard Kivior like January, as opposed to what we were trying to do with a Vlahovic or a Mudryk type, money. Because the players that we want, I don't think what we better make sure we do here, I'm not sure if many fans will forgive it, is the players that we want, we better make sure we get them in the summer if we're going to do it this way, because we've waited long enough now. And that's where the argument on, is it the board, is it Mikel? No logical fan is questioning that Mikel Arteta wants forwards. Of course we're aware that he wants them. The debate really has been, have we wanted forwards, all types of forwards, not necessarily just your first choice, but enough in this period, as opposed to getting, filling other positions, right? Because there's evidence that in the summer we wanted forwards, but as soon as we couldn't get our first choice, we went and spent that money on a fullback and a number 8, which you'd bought already for 65 million in the previous window. So whilst the board should release the money in the funds, I don't think it's quite as simple as that, because it's quite clear that we want a very specific type of forward to spend that money on, which is what Neil said. Do we want to spend 70 million on a Cunha, when I think we all realise that Cunha is not He's not in the top 2 choices for Arsenal in terms of attackers. And whilst I think we should be doing that, because I think we need more than 2 attackers come the summer, I'm not sure there's a lot of evidence to suggest Mikel thinks that, really. I mean, he probably wants it right now. I mean, I've never seen him so vocal about a transfer window, but he wasn't like this at the start of January. He wasn't going, oh, we must sign it. Until the Jesus injury happened, he was like, if a good opportunity comes across, we'll look at it, of course. And then it switched big time. It wasn't, yes, it wasn't. It's changed a lot because of the knock-on effect of the injuries, I think. Of course, he wants it.
I think we need a strong sporting director in.
Yes.
Paramount.
Oh, yeah.
Because if we can get a decent, strong sporting director, I'm not saying anyone's going to come close to what David Dean was for Wenger, but if we can get someone in that's can put his case forward in a footballing and common sense footballing way, and even sway Arteta, even if Arteta is a stubborn so-and-so, They've got to work together, and he's got to say, look, I'm seeing things that maybe you aren't, Mikel, and we need this player in this position for these situations and all of that kind of stuff. But he's got to have that influence and that sway. And I think that's just as an important signing as the blooming players themselves, because we need, otherwise it's going to be the same old thing that we had with Wenger, that everything will be on Arteta or on the manager and the coach. He's supposed to be focusing on the pitch, and I don't want him doing anything else. I want the sporting director to take a lot of heat off him and get the job done in the right way. So I think that is so important that we get him. That would be a plus signing for me, just as much as the players would. I mean, of course, the players are so important because they're the ones that do the stuff on the pitch, but we need someone there to help Arteta for sure. So that's important for me.
Yeah, we need a sporting director that holds both sides accountable, really. That's what we really need. But I would be watching, I mean, obviously, Sphere at Nippon, I think it is this kid from Rosenborg, heavily linked to us from Ornstein, not done deal yet, but we're advancing on it, I believe. City are lurking there in the background with their corrupt money, of course, so it's never really done. I think he was in a, Cyborg's box for Man City's game last week. But that would help because he's young. He's not really going to affect that front line, and he's not going to be someone that can start in that front line. That's for sure. If at the very best he comes in and he gets the early sort of Lewis Skelly, Winieri like minutes, if we want to do that. But beyond that, we obviously need something more. Personally, I've started to look, I think I said it to James in midweek, I said I've started to look at players in the sort of 20 to 40 million bracket, or the abroad loans, as frustrating as it might be. So I don't know who that is. I mean, obviously Wissa's been mentioned from Brentford. He's not a player we were looking to hope to get from Brentford, but there's something there, because why are people bidding for him? Tell, I'd look at, I don't know a lot about this, Matthias Tell, is it, at Bayern Munich, but he's a striker that basically can't get any minutes because Harry Kane's playing all the time. I'd look a little bit there. Obviously the Vlahovic one comes up a little bit. He only played 8 minutes in a game against Napoli yesterday, which was a huge game for Juventus, and he sat on the bench for 82 minutes, so that's a bit, and they played Colomboani, so that's a one to watch a little bit. I don't know, but we need to get something. We have to do it, and we need to do it soon, because it will give the club a really big lift. I mean, I was watching City. We've got City coming up next. Their signings gave them a big lift. Obviously they're corrupt. They spent 200 million. Of course we can't do that. But that attacking signing, Marmoush, gave them a big lift. Brought tons of energy to the team. We need that lift, like that Jose Reyes type energy lift. Do you know what I mean? The club needs it. Declan Rice is even calling for it. When do you remember the last time a player said we need signings? I mean, I don't remember it at Arsenal. It's absolutely imperative that we do something in the next week. Otherwise we're really going to struggle up there, because I don't think it's sustainable, even what we're doing right now, to be honest. Quick comment on the Champions League. So we've got Champions League game. We're brilliant result against Zagreb, James. We're third place. A lot needs to go against us for us not to finish in the top 8. We should finish in the top 8, but never say never. But I do think, I don't know if Arteta will think this way, but I think we should rotate quite a bit in midweek. It's always a risk, but I think we do need to rotate a bit in midweek. Obviously we've got a massive game against Man City. I just wonder what your thoughts are on that. Would you rotate a little bit less than that, or where do you think where we're standing?
I would rotate completely, because I know you never say never, but I think one of the only ways is if someone gets a 7-goal swing.
Villa, I think, yeah, or team below them, yeah.
Yeah, and then
it's highly improbable, not impossible.
Yeah, but I'm like, the game that they've got to score 7, the team, that they're playing, they've got to score 7 goals against. That it doesn't look likely. So, for me, I would rotate it as much as we can, because we're pretty much through now. And I don't like diminishing any competition. However, that game against Man City, for me, is still that's still a massive game, as opposed to if we had to win this one against Girona, I wouldn't be saying this. But we can get a draw and still be fine here. So I would like you yesterday, Hoyt, Gunnosaurus, everyone else that you put in your lineup that you had. I would change as much as we can, be allowed. And you know what else? Controversially, probably, but that's what I normally do on here. The lad Butler Oyejeji, I've probably butchered that. He went to bring him on, didn't he? But the ball didn't go out of play for nearly 3 minutes.
He went to bring him on against Wolves, did he?
No, that was Zagreb, weren't it? When
Zagreb,
he was stood there for ages in the kit, and it was just like, someone just
Get
move the
on.
ball out so the boy can have and he got, 25, 30 seconds, I think, to play.
Fair play to him.
Start him against Girona. Because
We haven't got any. There's no one there.
Yeah, Havertz needs a rest, and he's the only other record. Naturally, you are a centre forward. That is your position. Play him. Start him against Girona. Because when are you ever going to get another chance to?
Yeah.
You're not going to. You've got no other real games where you've got a chance for these lads to play. So I think that Heaven's probably going to join Man United, which is a shame, because when he did come on and we saw him play, he looks like a really physically imposing, sort of defender. But him, if he wanted to, if that would help, maybe he'd sign. I don't think he's going to, but Maldini that we got there, the young I'd play him. Play him. Neto's not had a game for us yet. Play him. Yeah. Play him.
Yeah,
play
I'd play that.
I would change the whole lot. I would change the whole lot.
I'm the same, Neil. Yeah.
Play all the four left backs.
No, because this reminds me of that dead rubber, which he didn't do, did he? He still played a strong team against. Was it last year? PSG? Which season was it? We had a dead rubber game.
PSV,
and he took all the youngsters with him, and he didn't even give them a second on the pitch, which made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
We have got to be so damn unlucky. It's like 1 in a billion. We've got any more chance of winning the lottery than us falling out now with the way all the other results have got to go. It's a dead cert for me that we're through. So it doesn't matter. We're going to be. It doesn't matter what position you finish, does it? Just remind me in the top 8. So if it doesn't have any bearing, who cares whether we're 3rd or 5th?
Neil, the way it's all laid out.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I follow, that he's not ESPN, but he works for one of the other. He was like, Arsenal got a 90% chance of getting Real Madrid in the next round. By the way,
right? Okay. Well,
so I was just like, whoever we're playing,
matter. It doesn't matter. So we've got a huge game against it. I would actually change the whole team, but my only worry is Arteta going to do that? It will be so stupid.
He won't do it that late. I think he'll rotate like he did.
But heavily,
a little bit more than Zagreb, maybe.
Hopefully, then.
Yeah,
but James is right. Give these youngsters, all of them, a chance. It'd be nice to see it as well. It'd be really nice to see, because we used to see it a lot. It didn't matter in the olden days. Listen to me. Under Wenger, when we used to play the League Cup, we would get a chance to see literally 11 young, fresh faces to see what they were all about. Do you remember? I think he would keep maybe 1 or 2 seniors on, and that was it. It would be such a radical change, because he'd give all the youngsters a chance in that League Cup. We don't do that anymore. This is a great opportunity to give the youngsters a chance to play. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't do it. And it would give a much-needed rest. And Odegaard, if he is suffering an illness, gets a little bit extra time to recover. So he's got to do that for me. He's got to do that.
And you never know, Neil, if we play these players, you might find somebody. Mm-hmm. And in a time of need, someone could come on and start.
Wait, there's a caveat to that. I hope whoever they place up front doesn't score like 8 amazing goals. We don't need anyone now to fight.
Oh, yeah.
So
I know. I do get what you mean. Yeah. But do you know what I mean? You might find someone.
Can Max down one player, or is there an age limit there?
Yeah. School night. So probably
Still
not.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see a back for all of left backs. It'll be the first time it's happened in history. I want to see a back for all left backs. But the players you really don't want to see, I mean, I wouldn't even mind if they didn't travel, to be honest, is Havertz, Timber, Rice. You really don't. I mean, at least one of Gabriel's sleepers Gabriel needs a break, really, because he's played much more than Sleeper in recent weeks, hasn't he? And Sleeper had a little bit of a break there with his hammy and stuff like that, and he came back really well, touch wood, yesterday. But yeah, let's see. I mean, let's do predictions, shall we? Predictions for Girona, and then obviously massive game against Man City on Sunday. Neil, what's your predictions? Girona away, who by the way, I've watched them at home a couple of times this season. They actually, I mean, they're not doing well in Champions League, but they've looked quite good. They should be about 2-3-0 up against Liverpool until Liverpool did their thing. But so what's your prediction? Girona away and Man City at home, Neil?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, me saying that he should play a complete, a second team is, I'm not trying to discredit the opposition. You know, all the teams are a quality team, so I don't want to disrespect. You know what? There is an exception to that. If Tierney hasn't gone, I'd like to see him start as well.
Yeah.
In midweek, because I think he deserves it.
I think he'll start.
He's been playing really well, so I will go. Irrespective of who plays, I just want to see something quite different. And because of that unpredictability, I'll go 2-1 Arsenal. And I'll say Tierney will score in that game. So it's do something completely off the wall or left field. The big one is the Man City one. That's huge. Oh, fuck, that is huge. It's such a shame that they've started playing now, isn't it? Such a shame.
Yeah, I know. It's always the same.
But it's all. Why is it with us? What is it? Have we got something on our heads? It's Arsenal. Everyone becomes a world-class team. Or if you've been off form, now's the time to start playing well. Oh, no, it's a manager bounce. It's Arsenal. Dude, everything always conspires against us for some reason. We always have it so goddamn hard. But having said that, we're going to beat him 2-0. And Martinelli's going to score.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. James, predictions?
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-0 midweek. And I'm going to say, let's have a punt. Let's go Jorginho. I'll say Jorginho from a penalty, probably.
Yeah,
I'll do 1-0. Yeah, I'll do 1-0 midweek, Jorginho pen. And then Neil nearly stole my thunder with the prediction. But I'm going to do 2-1 Arsenal. And I'm going to go for Trossard.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But in terms of the other goal that we score against Man City, I think it's going to be somebody that we're maybe not like Calafiori, but someone's going to score in that game that we're just going to go, okay, wow. It'll be someone completely unexpected that will score.
Take them. Any how they come.
Raya.
Yeah. It'll be somebody where we'll be like, bloody hell, you know.
Yeah.
It could be Sterling. I don't know. Maybe I'm being mad. Maybe I'm being really mad. But yeah, I just think someone's going to score against Man City that we don't expect. That'll be like, wow, where's that come from?
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely improving, but they also have they're struggling in the Champions League groups. I think they will qualify, but they have to win that game.
Could be our new signing that scores against them, eh?
And I mean, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? I mean, now I look at it, I was hoping that the window closed before, but it doesn't close before next weekend, so we could be, waiting for that last 24 hours.
Have you seen about what the other leagues have apparently all the other leagues have agreed that they're going to shut the next one before that they want to start it before the season starts, the windows are closed now. That's something they want to push through.
Really?
Yeah, which I'm like, good. That's what I've always wanted that. I've wanted that from the point of view of where it's like, no, once the season begins, you have your team set. If they get injured, if you get injured or something goes wrong, everyone's the same. Like, where it shuts later, you can buy a new, like Man City. What was it? 1 year they bought, God knows out. I mean, we're buying left backs, but he did what? He did nearly 100 mil on Kyle Walker, and then he bought another one. Then he bought another one, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
look what they've done here. I mean, like Neil says, I mean, when we played them at the Etihad, they were top of the league and unbeaten. When we played them at the Etihad. No one mentions that, and then their big turmoil of 2 months. It didn't affect us in the sense that we weren't playing them, but they played all the other big teams in that time, Liverpool and stuff like that, and then again, they've got that second win, and they've been allowed, despite the fact of charges, to spend freely and willingly and 200 million or whatever. And obviously, that will give them that boost. You can tell their performance has gone up with that, and etc. But we can't do. We got a lot to deal with when they come to us too, because we remember what happened when we went there, and some of the comments and some of the assessments and etc. And we need and what happened on the pitch in terms of red cards and things like that. So we've got a lot to say, hopefully, and hopefully we do our talking on the pitch. So I'll go 1-0 Arsenal against Girona. I think James said the same scoreline. I don't know. I'll go. Who should I? Winieri. I'll go Winieri for that one. And I'm not sure if he'll play, but I presume he might play. So, and then I'll go 1-0 Arsenal against Man City. I'll go 1-0 Arsenal, Martinelli. And keep fingers crossed. But boys, it's been brilliant. Great win. 2 great wins this week. We're at Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter, YouTube. Just type in Purely Arsenal there. Subscribe to us, please. It'd be great. Give us your comments, your thoughts, everything like that. Neil, James, thanks for everyone that retweets the pods and the instant reactions, everything like that. And we will be back, hopefully, fingers crossed, after another 2 wins.
Come on.
Come on, the Arsenal. Keep the faith. Everything's against us, but we got to keep the faith, boys. Got to keep the faith. Thank you so much, boys. Up the Arsenal.